with all due respect to the people that came after him and the people who might come after him the next 50 years, is going to take a big set of shoes to fill these guys' shoes. I consider him the best Boston Bruins goalie of all time, not only because of his quality of play, but for what he meant for the franchise and how literally he put the franchise on the map by helping them to their first Stanley Cup championship. Now, Tiny Thompson, born Cecil Ralph Thompson, in, of all places, the beautiful community of Sandown, BC, if you've ever been there, beautiful community, played 12 seasons in the NHL, first for the Bruins and later for the Red Wings. He won the Vezinas 4 times, and he was inducted in the Hockey Hall of Fame all the way back in 1959. Again, his initial season was his best in the playoffs. He won Stanley Cup 29 with the Bruins. After the start of the 39th season, after 10 years with Boston, he was traded unceremoniously to the Red Wings, where he completed the season and played another full one before retiring. Now, during his NHL career, he recorded 81 shutouts, the 6th highest of any goalie. After retiring from playing, he coached lower league teams before becoming a noted professional scout. Thompson helped popularize the technique of the glove save, which was catching the puck with his hands as a method of making a save. He was a competent puck handler, and he was the first goalie in NHL history to record an assist in 36 by passing the puck with his stick to a fellow player. So if you see every goalie that's in the NHL now, that he created that or perfected that 85 years ago. This is almost like a catcher having to first throw out at second base back in the 1860s or whatever. Now, the Sandon, of course, a lot of people know was a mining community at the time, but he grew up in Calgary, where his brother, Paul, who also became a pro player, was born in 1906. As a child, he enjoyed playing baseball and hockey. Initially, he was not a goalie, though he agreed to play the position to get into games. As a teenager playing competitive ice hockey, he acquired the nickname Tiny as a joke, as he was the tallest player on the team, standing 5'10", and the nickname stuck with him for the rest of his career. I think he topped out at 5'10", where everybody was 5'2", 5'3". Now, Thompson began his junior career playing for the Calgary Monarchs in 1919 at the age of 16. He competed for the Memorial Cup, awarded to the Canadian Junior Championships that year, playing in 2 games and surrendering 11 goals, a respectable amount in that era. After spending a 21 season playing for the Calgary Alberta Grain, Thompson played 3 seasons in Bellevue, Alberta. In 1925, he joined the Duluth Hornets, playing 40 games, recording a shutout in 11 of them. The following season, Thompson joined the Minneapolis Millers of the AHA. In his 3 seasons with the Millers, he appeared in 118 games with 33 shutouts and with a 1.37 goals against average. Now, he joined the Bruins in the 1929 season after his contract was purchased by Art Ross. Now, despite having never seen Thompson play, he had heard about his good reputation in Minnesota. In his first game, he had a shutout, becoming the only Hockey Hall of Fame goalie to accomplish this feat. In his first season, he appeared in all of 44 of the Bruins games, 12 shutouts and a 1.15 goals against average, the second lowest GAA in NHL history to date, second only to George Hainsworth's .98 to GAA. Hainsworth set his record actually that same season. Placing first in the American Division, the Bruins had a perfect record in the playoffs en route to their first Stanley Cup win, defeating the Habs and the Rangers. Now, Thompson recorded 3 shutouts in 5 playoff games and only allowed 3 goals. Now, the following season, he again appeared in all the Bruins' 44 games, 3 shutouts, 2.19 average. The league changed its rules actually on forward passing, which resulted in a sharp increase in goal scoring. I think at the time you couldn't pass forward; you could only pass back. Now, similar to rugby. Now, Boston won all but 6 games, finishing with a 38-5-1 record, the best winning percentage for any team in a season. Surrendering only 98 goals, he bested Charlie Gardner of Chicago to win his first of 4 Vezinas. Now, the Vezina Trophy is awarded to the league's top goalie, which was determined prior to the 82 season by a number of goals surrendered by goalies who had played a minimum of 25 games. Now, in the playoffs, however, they suffered their first 2-game losing streak as they were swept by the Canadiens in the best of three in the Stanley Cup Finals. Early in the playoffs, Thompson's winning streak of 7 playoff games was snapped. It remains, as of 2014, the longest playoff winning streak to start a career. Now, in the 31 season, he played all 44 games again and was named a second-team All-Star. In the playoffs, he lost in the semis to the Habs. During Game 2 of the season, again, Thompson became the first goalie to be pulled for a sixth attacker at the end of the game to give his team a higher chance to score a goal. Even though Boston still lost, coach Art Ross's maneuver was described as amazing the following day, and this technique, known as the open net, caught on with the rest of the league. Now, the Bruins missed the playoffs for the first time in the 32 season. He only won 13 games while playing 43 of 48, which was the only time he missed games as a member of the Bruins. The next season, Boston made the playoffs again, losing to the Leafs. Now, the final game in the playoff series was described as Thompson's most memorable. During that game, Toronto and Boston were tied after regulation time, and over 100 minutes of overtime proceeded, with Thompson dueling Toronto's classy goalie Laurent Chabot. After the end of the fifth overtime, managers Conn Smythe of Leafs and Art Ross of the Bruins asked League President Frank Calder to suspend the game, but Calder refused. Early in the sixth overtime, a pass from Boston defenseman A. Shore was intercepted, and Ken Doherty skated on a breakaway, cleanly beating Thompson at 4:46 of the period. The losing goalie in the second longest NHL game, Thompson received a standing ovation from fans at MLG. Thompson finished the playoff series with a 1.23 goals against average, despite a losing record. Now, he became the second goalie to win the Vezinas twice in 32 since its inception in 27, as he recorded 11 shutouts and a 1.76 GAA. Now, after missing the playoffs in 34, the Bruins rebounded to first place in the American Division in 35, as Thompson was named to the second All-Star team for a second time. In the playoffs, the Bruins won only one of their 4 games. The only win was the strength of Thompson shutout, who finished the playoffs with a 1.53 GAA. In 1936, he recorded 10 shutouts, but Boston managed to win only 22 of the 48 games. During the season, again, he recorded assists, a rarity for goalies. Now, at the end of the season, he was named to the first All-Star team for the first time and won the Vezinas for the third time, tying George Hainsworth's all-time mark with 3. The ensuing 2-game total goal playoff against the Leafs was a series of contrasts, as the Bruins lost 8-6. In the opening game, the Bruins shut out Toronto 3-0, while they lost the other game 8-3. In 38, his final full season with Boston, he won 30 out of 48 games, but the Bruins lost and the Maple Leafs once again in the playoffs. Thompson set a new record by winning his 4th and final Vezina. He was also named a first-team All-Star for the second time. Now, with the Bruins, he had 252 wins, and again, the record stood for 81 years until it was surpassed in recent time by the great Tuukka Rask. Now, Thompson appeared in only 5 games for the Bruins in 39, as Boston decided to replace the aging goalie with Frank Brimsek, who was 12 years younger. Very similar how he came up in a rookie. Brimsek would go on to lead the Bruins to a Stanley Cup that season, earning the nickname Mr. Zero while picking up 10 shutouts. The Vezina Trophy, first All-Star team honors, and the Calder Trophy, which was given to rookies. To make a space for Brimsek, Thompson was traded to the Red Wings for Normie Smith at $15,000 on November 16, 38. He also received a $1,000 bonus as a parting gift from Boston. Now, Boston manager Art Ross predicted that Thompson, now 35, would play for the Red Wings at least another 5 seasons. However, Thompson remained with the team for only 2 seasons before retiring. The Red Wings posted a losing record in both of these years, although they made the playoffs both times. Overall, Thompson appeared in 85 games in Detroit, 32, 41, and 12, 7 shutouts, and a 2.54 goals against average. In 11 playoff games, he won 5 and 6 with 1 shutout and a 2.41 GAA. Now, after retiring from pro hockey, he became the head coach of the Buffalo Bisons of AHL in 41. He coached 56 games in 2 seasons, but the Bisons missed the playoffs both times. He appeared in 1 game as goalie in the 41 season. Now, during World War II, he also served in the Royal Canadian Air Force and doubled as a coach of the Calgary RCF Mustangs of the Alberta Senior Hockey League. He led the Mustangs to the League Championship Series in 43 against the Calgary Curry Army team, where injuries to the Mustangs goaltenders brought him back on the ice in March 43. With Thompson in goal, the Mustangs defeated Curry Army 8-4 to tie the best-of-5 series 2 each. He played the deciding game, but his team fell short of winning the Alberta title with a 3-1 loss to Currie Army. After the war, Thompson became chief Western Canada scout for the Blackhawks. He was the first of a few scouts at a time who sought to discover a player's personality along with their playing ability. Thompson also often conversed with players as part of an effort to learn about the skaters he was watching. Now, Thompson was a stand-up goalie, rarely falling on both knees to stop a puck. Now, like we said before, he was one of the first NHL goalies to catch the puck with his hand to make a save and help popularize the technique. Now, he was using gloves that were smaller than those of other players, and he was among the best puck catchers of his era. He stood in the way of the puck with minimal padding, risking being struck when moving to catch it, instead of simply deflecting away from the net. His signature technique, very often featured in photographs of him, involved dropping to one knee with the paddle of his goal stick covering the 5-hole and extending his glove to cover the left side of the net. Although he caught the puck with his glove, he did so without gloves, resembling the modern blocker-trapper glove combination. Now, Thompson was once described by Johnny Bower, one of the best goalies of all time, who was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, as a good puck handler and one of the best of his time at forward passing. In the 36th season, Thompson again became the first goalie to get an assist by intentionally passing up the puck with his stick to a fellow player. Now, Thompson's points percentage in the season of .875 recorded in 1930 still remains a record. His 38 wins during that season was a Boston record that was eclipsed only in the 83 season by Pete Peters, who won 40 of 62 games played. Since then, no Bruins goalie has had more than 37 wins in a season. Now, Thompson is the all-time Bruins leader for shutouts and goals against average, and he held the records for most games played, 468, and wins 252, by a Bruins goalie until 2019, when the records were surpassed by Tuukka Rask. Now, throughout his entire NHL career, he had 81 shutouts, which is 6 all-time, and was second only to George Ainsworth, who had 94 when Thompson retired. He also had 7 shutouts in the playoffs. He is 5th all-time in goals against average, allowing on average only 2.08 per 60 minutes. He led all goaltenders in regular season games played 10 times, and in regular season wins 5 times. Now, inducted into Hockey Hall of Fame in 1959, a very, very dramatic ceremony. This is 6 years or 7 years before the establishment of the Hockey Hall of Fame building itself, so quite amazing. He unfortunately passed away in Calgary on February 1981, survived by his wife Edith and his daughter Sandra. Anyway, 1920 Calgary Monarchs, 1921 Calgary Alberta Grain, 22-24 Bellevue Bulldogs, 25 Duluth Hornets, 26-28 Minneapolis Millers, and again, best season in my opinion, 1930, 38-5-1. You may never see that again. A goalie winning 38 of 44 starts. It's so difficult in 2021, even with COVID, to win 25 games, let alone 40. So, and again, a Stanley Cup champion at only that first season. Vezinas again, 30-33, 36-38. First team All-Star, 36-38. Second All-Star team goalie, 31-35. Stanley Cup, 1929. And again, to save the minutes played, 34,175, ladies and gentlemen. And in the playoffs, 2,974. And he had a better playoff average than a regular season average. And he made the playoffs, ladies and gentlemen, I think, if I look at the stats here, 10 times. So he was, again, the Depression-era goalie that everybody cheered on. The only bad season really he had was 1932, and everything else was just beyond excellence. And you also look at his last full season with the Bruins, 30-11-7. Just tremendous. Again, career goals against average 2.08. You'll never see that again. Even Ken Dryden couldn't beat that. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, or subscribe. Tony Thompson, I heard stories about him from old hockey players years ago, and I heard of that once at the Inshore Ice Palace, and the goalie had made, I think it was a touring team, not a touring team, but an elite team, AAA Bantam. The goalie had made like 55 saves, and one guy in the crowd said, "Who do you think you are, Tony Thompson?" Because the team jersey had the same colors of the Boston Bruins, circa that late 20s, early 30s. You know, with the not the big B in the front, but with the Boston Bruin, Bruin logo. I think a lot of people became Boston Bruins fans because of Tony Thompson, in my personal opinion, because nothing a Canadian likes better than a good goalie. That's a good piece of chocolate, anyway. Or like a good donaire or a poutine, who knows. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the legend of Tony Thompson. If you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, subscribe, and keep your stick in the ice. Bye.